Yes, so my name is DaVett Jones, and I don't have a nice little slide that talks about all my accomplishments. Now I don't have a nice little slide that talks about all my accomplishments and all that stuff. However, we do want to thank the SEEED team for bringing us out today, bringing me as a speaker, as well as everyone who coordinated to make this happen. So we greatly appreciate everything that you do for the community. But I will tell you a little bit about myself. Now, I was 28, a single mother, 2 kids, no child support, and I was working at Applebee's, and a lady tapped me on my shoulder and she said, "Would you like a job?" And I said, "Of course." And it was very much doing the same thing we're doing today, seminar coordination. Now, I was raised by my grandmama. My grandmama, she used to have them little social meetings in the house where we had club meetings and we have all of the cucumber sandwiches and stuff like that. So I was a natural hostess. And being in front of her, seeing her give a presentation about financial planning. Now, I was a realtor at the time. Got my real estate license in 1999. After I heard her speak one time, I said, I don't want to do nothing else but this for the rest of my life. And here we are. This is 22 years later, 23 years, hallelujah, over the summer. And over that time, we've been able to enjoy so much education about financial planning, about budgeting, about saving, about retirement. And I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite subjects, which is retirement. Since I was 28 years old, I've been talking about retirement. I've been thinking about retirement. If you got a job, that means you are not independently wealthy and you are what? Focused on retirement. Am I right?
Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to talk about retirement. But again, I'm DaVett Jones. I have my own independent practice. It's called Light Vision Solutions. I have been in the industry for 22 years. I was forced to get my securities license and become a financial advisor in 2013. I started my own practice in 2015. And I'm now licensed in about 30 states all over the country. They want a big check out of me next week. So I'm very grateful to be able to work with so many people over the country because I'm just a little chick from East Knoxville. I went to Holston, Austin, East Carter. I am never supposed to be in a place where I am sharing so much financial information with people all over the country, and I'm grateful for it. So, I'm going to get to my little spiel, okay?
Yes,
all right, now y'all don't have to talk back to me. I'm like church. Y'all, I don't sit around here and get still. Now, retirement equals freedom, right? That's what we talk about. We want to be able to have that freedom to go where we want, do what we want. That's what retirement is. If everybody has to go to a job, and you got somebody telling you 8 hours a day where you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to dress, right? But this gives us the freedom to be able to do the activities that we want, and no one has to tell us where to go and when to go, right? Now, I want you to ask yourself, you got a piece of paper there, you got a pen, flip over on the back and write some notes for yourself. Or even pull out your phone and write some notes for yourself. What are you looking forward to most in retirement? Are you going to fish? I see some fishing going on, right? The creative arts, right? We're going to play the flute. We're going to be Lizzo out here playing the flute, all that good stuff. What are we going to do in retirement? Are you going to travel? Are you going to start business? Have we thought about what our retirement plans are like? Have we thought about, when we sit and work, don't we think about all the things that we don't want to do? What about the things that we do want to do, okay? Do you plan to live in your same home? Do you plan to travel? Do you plan to move to a smaller state, another state? Do you want? I love living in Tennessee because it's a tax-free state. But what are your goals? What are your objectives? Have you even considered that? And what do you foresee yourself doing when you are in your slow years? In my world, we have 3 years. When in retirement, we say you got your go-go years. That's when you want to get out and move and travel and shake and do all the fun things that you thought about doing while you were working. And then you got your slow-go years. And them slow-go years is when you don't leave the house past 6 p.m. because it's dark. You know what I mean? And then you have your no-go years. And those no-go years is when you just sit at home and you watch Matlock and Gunsmoke. You're just happy and content and the grandbabies and everybody's around you. You know what I'm talking about. I just called your grandparents.
You were describing my grandmother.
Exactly. So, understanding that there are those different phases of retirement, and I want you to think also about that last phase of retirement. What is your last days going to look like here? These are all considered your golden years. Play the song. All right, so now, retirement factors. At what age will you have sufficient income to retire? I want you to think about that. Because retirement is not an age, it's really an income, right? We see a lot of young people who are retired. I call myself semi-retired. I ain't collected the W-2 check in about 10 years. So being able to say I can play with my grandbabies, I can travel. I just came back off of a cruise last week. Being able to do the things that I want to be able to do is because I have sufficient income. Now, big thing, number two, is how much money is sufficient income to you. I live in Knoxville, Tennessee. It's cheap to live in Knoxville. Don't leave. Get on a plane and go wherever you want to go. When you think about the average wage in Tennessee, in Knoxville specifically, you can live here for about $50,000 a year versus being in some of the major metropolitan areas that require you to have $120,000, $150,000 per year. I can have a certain income, certain money that will allow me to live a comfortable life. And what other special issues or expenses? I have 5-year-old granddaughters. I'm going to be contributing to their college education. So that's something I've got to think about when another 13 years from now, right? I'm being able to figure out, all right, what's going to happen to me if I get sick? I'm a single woman. So that means I don't have anybody who's going to take care of me if I get sick or hurt, a heart attack, cancer, stroke, anything like that. I want to make sure that I have assets, resources in place so I don't have to be a burden to my adult children. One has kids, the other lives in Reno, Nevada. So I have to look at all of these factors in my own retirement, and I'm sharing this transparently because I want you to do the same. Look at your family dynamic. Look at your financial dynamic and figure out what it is that you need to start implementing right now so you can be able to live your life like it's golden, okay? Now, talked about some of the factors impacting retirement, but I want to talk about some other things that really don't get talked about enough. Number one, longevity. Anybody in here got a family member that lived till 90? What about 95? What about 100? Over 100. Okay? So when we think about if we've got one family member who's lived until their 80s, 90s, 100, most people, Ms. Shine was just talking about, 65 is retirement age. 65 to 35 is 30 years. You may have spent 30 years on the job, but you may also have 30 years in retirement. And we want to make sure that there's the resources for that as well. Okay? All right. Inflation. Now, everybody better know what inflation is. The way that the prices of eggs went up last year, you tell me you don't know what inflation is? Milk, gas, bread, everything going up. Some of our parents, they paid less for their first house than I did for my last car. How much your mama pay for the first house? Yeah. Your parents?
Under 20,000.
Under 20,000. How much you think I paid for my last car? I drive an Acura RDX. And what? Yeah, it was more than 20,000. That's inflation. The cost of everything gets more expensive over time. So we want to take that into consideration. Continued employment in retirement. Warren Buffett is 96 years old. When he gonna retire? Some people just love what we do. And when you love what you do, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, all of these wealthy people are still working in retirement because maybe you want to leave your 9 to 5 and do something that's going to be passion driven. I've seen a lot of people in their bios talked about transitioning back to the service world, to volunteer, to work for the church, to do all these various things. So working in retirement is something that we embrace now. And it's actually something that keeps us active, gives us vitality, right? Then, future taxes increases. Do you think taxes are going to go up or down in the future? Okay. So we need to make sure that we put that into our retirement plan as well, because I had a 70-year-old from Dayton, Ohio call me the other day, and he brings in about $200,000 in income between his Social Security, between his retirement, between his investments, and between his other job, because he's still working. That $200,000 has pushed him up into a new tax bracket. You know what he called me? Cussing about paying taxes. I said, stop working. Shoot, that's why you're paying so much in taxes. Now, less reliance on pensions. You know when your parents told you to get you a good job with benefits, they was talking about a pension. They was not talking about a 401k thrift savings plan. They was not talking about a simple. They were not talking about any of those 401ks, what do you call them? 457 plans, 403bs. Those are not the same. Those are not the same. Because our parents and our grandparents, they went to retirement and they got a check every month for the rest of their life. They didn't have to worry about the stock market. They didn't have to worry about any inflation, market crashes. They just get a check, right? We always say our parents never taught us about money because they didn't know nothing about money because they had the right investment vehicle. That was that pension. Those pensions were funded by the employer, not the employee. Y'all heard me? The job was putting the money in for you. You didn't have to come out of your pocket to put the money in like we do when we have to contribute to the 401k and match, right? Y'all see the difference? They get a retirement and they just get a check. They don't have to worry about it. It keeps going for the rest of their life. Now, another type of pension is Social Security. And of course, with this current administration, we've been seeing a lot of insecurity around Social Security. Now, again, one of the things that's being said is that they are going to try and eliminate the taxes on it. However, there's only going to be a certain number of people right now, if we go back and we look at it from the from the year, in 1945, when the first Social Security plans were implemented, there were 6 workers putting in for every 1 person who collected. Now that number in 2024 is up to 2 workers for every 1 person on benefit. Have you heard that Social Security is going to grow? Have you heard that the trust fund is going to be depleted? That's why. We don't even have enough workers contributing to Social Security for the number of people that's putting into it. So those are the insecurities that come even beyond just the administration and what changes they promise or will not promise. Tariffs on, tariffs off. Very bipolar. Anyway, and finally, the growing need for long-term care. If we've all probably known someone who had to go to the nursing home or had to have a nurse come into the house and take care of grandparents, or my grandmother, she lived till 94 years old, and she was healthy as a horse, and she was still driving like it was hot. However, she had dementia. And if we left her in the house, she would have turned on the stove and the whole house would have been hot. Do you hear me? So, understanding that you may be physically healthy, you can work out, you can eat right, but you may still have diminished mental capacity, and that is still a need for long-term care. So we always want to incorporate all of these factors into the plan, okay? All right, now are there any questions? Because I know I talk fast and I talk a lot. And I told you, I'll talk back to me. All right. All right, so news by the numbers. Only 55% of Americans have money saved for retirement. There is a report that says 29% of people, they have less than $25,000 in their retirement accounts and savings, and that's excluding their house, and about another 14% have less than $1,000 in the bank right now. How about that? 40% of people plan to access their retirement savings account to pay for basic expenses in retirement. They're just going to go to it like it's a checking account. They don't understand the rules of these investment accounts. 60% have taken no action. That means that you got a job. You didn't sign up for the 401k. You didn't sign up for the Roth 401k. You didn't sign up for anything through the job. You just want to get your paycheck and all your money so you can go back to the house and you can spend it and not saving anything, not paying ourselves first. I'm notorious for that. Pay yourself first, pay yourself often, pay yourself well. Now, 23% expect to receive, only 23% of Americans expect to receive money from a pension. What does that say about the other 77% of us, including me? I don't have no pension. I mean, see, 3 military people in here probably has a pension. We'll talk about that a little bit later. All right. And most people, 80% of people believe that it's important to have I love that G word, guaranteed income for the rest of your life. You got guaranteed bills? Yes. Okay, you better have a guaranteed income to go along with it, okay? Now, I want to talk to you about a safe and smart retirement strategy, which is a fixed index annuity. So we think of them as a real powerful financial tool for growth potential, as well as safety and guaranteed income. And I'm going to show you some examples on that. But we're going to go back and just talk about what annuities are. Annuities have been around since the Roman Empire. They became popular in the 1930s. If you pull out your phone right now and you Google and say, Google, is a pension an annuity? It says yes. Absolutely. Is Social Security an annuity? It says yes. Absolutely. So we have always had these investments, but we just never heard the language that goes along with them. Does that make sense? All right. Now, mentioned it before, government pensions, if you work at Ford, if you work at TDA, if you work the plants in Oak Ridge, you have a what? Pension, right? Social Security, another version of a pension. A VA disability check is a tax-free pension. Gotta love that one. Lottery winnings, you win the lottery, what they ask you, you say you can go ahead and get your millions of dollars, or as a lump sum, or you can get the annuity. You can take the income stream over a period of time. Structured settlements. You slip fall, win the lawsuit. They say, all right, you got millions of dollars, but we only give it to you so much per year for the rest of your life, right? Okay, so those are all versions of annuities. Now, once upon a time, those pensions, they provided reliable, predictable, sustainable income. Does anybody in here have any type of annuity or pension that they collected? No? Ever contribute to one? You contribute, okay. All right. Well, anybody in here ever had a W-2 job? Okay. You all contributed to an annuity. Because when I got my first job at 15 years old, and they got my first paycheck, they already had taken out $15 and put it into an annuity. What's that annuity called? Social Security. Exactly. And when I get to a certain age, Social Security retirement age, then I will be able to get that guaranteed, predictable, sustainable income for the rest of my life. But the annuity is something that I want to control. I don't want to put in the hands of our government. You understand? I wanted to be able to say, I have this bucket of money over here that I know is going to pay my rent, pay my mortgage, pay my utility bills, pay my groceries. I want to be able to have that sustainable income for my fixed expenses. All of your money does not go in annuities. Some of it needs to be over there. Just like you got guaranteed bills, you better have guaranteed money to pay those bills. Now, fixed index annuities, they offer the security, like we talked about, in the pension income stream, and they can also provide a lifetime income stream. Now, they are linked to the stock market. We call it a fixed index annuity. If you're familiar with the S&P 500, that is the index that we use. So anybody who has one of those SPY funds, mutual funds, the exchange traded funds that are for the S&P 500, are y'all familiar with those? Okay. This uses the same benchmark to be able to make money inside of your annuity. However, it's never directly invested in the stock market. So if you look it on CNBC right now, you'll probably see the stock market's probably been down. I think that's what I read today that the S&P 500 is down 5% this year. Okay. So last year when it's up like 20%, you were able to capture gains. When the market goes down, you never lose a penny. Oh, that's my favorite part, baby. Come on now. Never lose a penny. Your money goes one way up. You see on the corner? It goes right there. One way up. Now, if the market does go down, your account value stays the same. All right? These are how some of the fixed index annuities have replaced bonds. If y'all remember in 22, we've always, if you have any financial background, they say you have some money in stocks, you have some money in bonds. When the stocks are up, then the bonds won't make as much money, but they'll keep your portfolio still, liquid. And when the stocks went down, the bonds were supposed to really give you a little bit of growth to just help keep you from losing all your money. 22 was the year that our stocks went down and our bonds went down, and everybody was looking like, what happened? That was because of the interest rate hikes and everything that was going on at that time. So they were like, whoa, we always felt like that these assets, this bond asset, was going to be our safety net. No. They really started looking at it from a different perspective, saying, where can I start putting more money? I first found out about annuities in 2008, when everybody's 401k went to a 201k. Yes, when we had the Great Recession. That's where we were able to say, hey, how can I take some money that I have with my job? How can I take some money I have in the bank? How can I take some money and put it somewhere where it's protected, where it's safe? Not all of the money, but some of it. You can still have some money in 401k because you're still contributing, you're still matching. But I want to at least be able to protect this big bucket of money because I don't ever want to see it go down below a certain dollar amount, right? So that was one of the beautiful things, and we started using the annuities to replace bonds in that scenario. And you see, of course, all the different reasons why a bond is not as valuable as a fixed index annuity in this day and age. All right. Now, you have several different ways that you can make money. You have a fixed account, which I looked at a fixed account the other day and it said, and one of my clients, he needs to reallocate. If we're looking at a recession this year, then, am I gonna take his money and put it into a fixed account that's gonna give him 3 to 4%? Maybe. I mean, you might as well make 4% when everybody else is losing money instead of saying never lose a penny and at least make 4%. Come on now, that's smart math. You have your index strategies, like we talked about, the S&P 500, we have the NASDAQ, we have gold, we have real estate, we have so many, we have Dow Jones portfolios, we have global portfolios. All of these AI portfolios are all built inside of the annuity. So if you're thinking about, I want to find out how to invest into some of the AI, this is a great way that you can do that safely. The one thing that I do love about the annuities is the safety of this vehicle, because a lot of us, we might be the first people in our family to really have money. We might be the ones that's got to take care of everybody else. So even though we're told when you're young, you can be really aggressive, not in our community, because we might have to take care of what that sandwich generation, we have to take care of our parents as well as our children and our grandchildren. So we may need more safety. We can't be more aggressive with our money, right? Something happened to us, who do we fall back on, right? So that's where we really do love that. Multi-indexes, I mentioned all of the different indexes. Pick 25% in this one, 25% in that one, 10%. Like, you can be able to mix them up and diversify them just like you would in your 401k portfolio. Now the caps. I told you that the S&P 500 did a 20% return last year, right? A lot of the companies will cap you at 8, 9, 10% on a portion of it. So that means you only made 9, 8, 9%. But when the markets go down, you don't lose anything. That is locked in. It is yours forever. Let's play a game. So, if I have $100 and it goes down 50%, how much money do I have? $50. Okay. Now the next year, that same money, it goes up 50%. How much do I have? 75. Right. Because 50% of 50 is only 25.
That's right.
You ain't back flush yet. So they tell us the markets go down and they come back up, but then you still didn't get back to where you were, right?
Still in the red.
Exactly. Sitting there hoping and wishing, talking about, man, I remember when this account balance was, but we'll say, oh, but it made 50%. Yeah, but you still ain't, let me stop.
No,
All right, so now participation rates is one of my favorite ways to play, because the participation rate says that you are able to take 200, 250, especially like on a 2-year portfolio, to be able to get a bigger growth on that. So we have some that's dedicated to a 1-year portfolio, some that's to a 2-year portfolio, because if the stock market actually did 20% last year and that was a year that you had a 200 participation rate, then you would have collected 40%. So there's lots of different ways to be able to make money on this particular investment. You get what I'm saying? And spreads, well, I'm sure that y'all know what parlays and spreads look like, but essentially, if the market does 8 and it says, all right, the market does 8 and you have a 2% spread, then you owe 6. You can earn 6, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So a lot of different ways you can make money inside of it. And again, my favorite part: never lose a penny. All right. Now, I always tell people I can go to the house without picking up a penny. Now, what does that mean? You can take, how much would you say a decent mortgage is right now?
$25,000.
$25,000?
That would be decent.
Decent. Okay. So you can pay a mortgage and put $25,000.
$125,000.
$125,000. Okay, $125,000. Then that's probably going to be a mortgage. I call it about maybe $900 a month. $900 a month. Okay. So you take that $900 a month, you put it in a piece of real estate. Now you're going to do that for how long? 15 to 30 years, right? You're going to put that money into 15, 30 years. You still have the maintenance. You still have to cut the grass. You still have to pay KUV. You still have the insurance. You have taxes. All these different things that go with the real estate, right? Versus, what if you just put that $900 a month inside of the account and never have to live a thing? I mean, that's what your Social Security check does, right?
Yeah.
That's what you just put that money into the bucket. You don't have to lift a finger. You don't have to do nothing. Now, mind you, I don't want you to forego a house But understand that when we think about where we're putting some of our money, we can be able to say, I can take 100, and we do have some annuities that you can start off $100 a month. I started off with 18-year-olds now, but they can do $100 a month into their own annuity, and knowing that they're going to job hop, they're going to go from company to company. Why would you just depend on your employer? Put it into your own account that goes with you, that's attached to your checking account, and allow that money to go in consistently for the next 10, 15, 30 years. Like, you don't even miss that money.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you look up and say, hey, I got some money over here. What we gonna do? Let's play. So, I love to tell people, I can build a house without picking up a hammer. We just put the money into it. We don't have to pay for any additional insurance. There's a 1% fee that goes on the account, and I believe here at the next quarter, they're going to create another product that's still going to be flow, $100 a month, and it's going to have no fee. All right? So, there's a lot of different annuities, and I'm a broker, so I work with a lot of different companies. I don't just have one set company that I work with, all right? Hedge funds is a way that they actually use the money to grow the money. Like I talked about those these AI portfolios, the gold, the real estate portfolios inside of the annuities. You know, most of us don't have the kind of money that'll let us go invest millions of dollars into a hedge fund. It's already built in for you. So versus you trying to replicate a system and create your own hedge fund, why don't you just use the annuity? And let the annuity do the work for you, baby. And because we all have combined and pooled our money together, then we can get access to investments that we will not be able to get individually one-on-one. Unless you got some Warren Buffett money. Anybody here got Warren Buffett money? I mean, I was just checking, because Warren Buffett, he be very unassuming. Bill Gates, he still drive an Acura right, so you never know. Now, oh, come on now. Money, 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 money. You know how I love it.
Yeah, got them dreams.
Okay, now, how do you get your money? Let's go over one question, right?
Yeah.
You can get it in a lot of different ways. You can take it as a lump sum. Now, if you take it in the early stages of the account, there may still be surrender fees or penalties where you would have early withdrawal, just like a SEEED. So most annuities are going to be somewhere between 5 to 10 years. They might have some 14-year. I don't mess with the 14 years. But they're going to be anywhere from 5 to 10 years that you'll be able to put that money aside, right? If you decide that you're going to violate that account, if it's a 10-year contract, and you're going to violate it in the 4th year, then you may have to pay a 6% penalty. Mm-hmm. Considering in the first year it was 10, and it goes down every year, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if anybody has ever taken money against a 401k, they automatically tell you it's 20% no matter what, especially if you're under the age of 59. They all the time, they say 20%. Versus it being a declining surrender schedule. Now, you potentially may still have some other government penalties if you're under the age of 59 and a half, or however your account is established. We can talk about that individually. But there's definitely going to be a lot less penalties inside of that. And also, if you just do decide to take it out in a year like right now, when the market is down, then you're not going to have to worry about waiting on the market to come back up to get your money back flush. You just know what your penalty is. Lifetime income stream. That's that guaranteed check. That's why we get up and go to work every day, is because we need a paycheck. Right? So we want to be able to say, if something happens, retirement, voluntary or involuntary retirement, then I want to be able to say, I know how my lights are going to get paid. I know where my groceries are going to get paid. I know where this check is coming in. Periodic withdrawals. You have some people that say, I just want to go in and take out 5 to 10% every other year, just so I can just use the money for a cruise, a vacation, a trip, however they want to. They are able to create that control. So again, you can take the money out while you need it. And of course, one of the things I love about it is the tax deferred growth. You don't pay any taxes on a non-qualified annuity until you start taking the money out. So unlike a CD, with a CD at the bank, you can have that money sitting there. You have $100,000 sitting there, and you made a 10% rate of return on it, which is unrealistic, but I just said 10%. If you make a 10% rate of return on it, you're going to get a 1099 tax form right now in this season for you to file taxes, even though you didn't take none of that money out of the account. Versus the annuity is going to allow you to defer the taxes until you take it out. And one of the things that I didn't add to this slide is also, it goes straight to your heirs, naming, and beneficiary. It does not go through probate. So if you name, you know how when you go to the funeral home and they say, I'm going to prepay for a funeral, honey, they ain't buying you life insurance. They put your money into an annuity. I gotta go back and add that to the other slide. Okay, but yes, yes, dear.
So with the periodic withdrawals, kind of like with the lump sum, are there any like charges or anything that goes with that besides taxes that you have to pay?
Depending on the year, that goes back to the surrender charge. So if you are 59 and a half and you've satisfied your 10 years of the contract, no, there would be no penalties. And a lot of times I do these as Roth IRA annuity. So if you were to start putting that $100 a month into a Roth IRA annuity now, by the time that you were 59 and said, I want to start taking that money out, there'll be no taxes, there'll be no penalties, it would be all your money. You could take it as an income stream, you could take it as a lump sum. You would have all the control to make decisions that you wanted to do.
But if I wanted to take it out before 59 and a half, I would have to pay
Pay the penalty.
Pay the penalty.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, if you satisfied your 10 years and you say, you know what, I want to move it back to the stock market, there's no penalty for that. You would just move that money back over to the stock market. So it's going to be that first 5 to 10 years that you have the account that a penalty is set. So very similar to a 5-year or a 10-year CD, then that's going to, so really be intentional about the money to determine, all right, do I just want to kind of stack money and put it aside? And I know I'll be a 5-year time horizon, a 7-year, or a 10-year time horizon because I'm going to use this money to use the down payment on a house. So I'm going to use it for my grandkids' college education. Or, like, be very definiteness of purpose with the investment, intentional, so you can know, all right, this is the goal. I'm going to fund it, and then boom, I'm going to use it to start a business. I'm going to use it to do whatever I need to. And that way you've avoided the penalties, and you're able to get some good growth out of that. Okay. Awesome.
Let me ask a question. So on those periodic withdrawals, so they're getting out everything on the front end, but then if you wait your turn, it's nothing left on the back end to get.
Well, you're getting the money out as you have it. So
Like
you kind
you
of
do
treat it
that.
like a bank account.
Okay.
You're treating it like a bank account.
Withdrawals. Periodic withdrawals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as you satisfy the term,
Correct.
it doesn't affect you.
Exactly.
Shit, that's strong.
Yes. Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Now, I mean, you think about it. How long you been working?
30 years.
30 years. 30 years, you don't put how much in Social Security? Don't answer that. Now, tell me this. How much are Social Security going to let you go in and just pull out today as a lump sum? Okay, that's right. Okay. A big fat zero. So remember, I gave you the now. I showed you. You're putting money in systematically over time. You already have this investment. It's growing. And then when you decide that you want to be able to take it as a lump sum, then just go in and pull the money out and take it as a lump sum. Or take it as an income stream, like the pension. Or pass it on to your heirs, because some people can't get life insurance because of their health problems. That allows you to be able to create some generational wealth. I told you I can build a house without picking up a hammer. That's why we want to give our kids and grandkids houses, but they ain't gonna pay the taxes on, they ain't gonna pay the mortgage on, they ain't gonna do the maintenance on. So why not just give them a bucket? And we're in a global economy. I told you, my daughter, she lives in Reno. Why would I give her a house here in Knox? What's she gonna do with it? Right? Pay somebody else to take care of it. Give her the money. Let her buy another piece of property over there. Shoot, let her buy it. Well, she has. Okay. All right. Now, some other fun things about it. Bonuses. You get free money. Money. You put in $100, it turns into $105 the next day. It ain't the same 5% match as you get through the job, but that is actually just the bonus. And it's for every piece of money that you put in for the first 8 years. So, like I said, I do a lot of these as a Roth IRA. So when you do them as a Roth IRA, you can put in $7,000 under the age of 50, $8,000 if you are 50 and above. And just imagine that, saying, I'm going to put $8,000 into an account for the next 10 years. That's $80,000 getting retirement, and take that money out tax-free. It's a lump sum. Yes, sir.
So, speak hypothetically for somebody, let's say somebody already retired, 65 years old, and they got their money, but it's not as much as they thought it would be, right? Are they able to then go back and invest more money into one of these or a Roth IRA to get more money?
Absolutely.
Okay,
So
sure.
there's several different things that comes along with it. Like a lot of people will say when they retire from their job, they'll take their money and they'll move it into the annuity because one, they want that pension stream.
Right.
Two, they're scared of any market fluctuations that we talked about before. They will keep some money liquid. We always tell them keep some money to the side liquid that you can use for emergencies and different things. But if they're wanting to be, and I've got a really good example that I'll show you in a minute. But to be able to say, if you're still working, you might be able to still keep contributing. Like even the 70-year-old, I told him, we took his money and we put it into an annuity because, one, he's going to pass away and his children, he can't get any life insurance.
Right.
But he is still actively investing towards that because he's knowing he gets the tax deferral. There's so many different reasons for a person's situation,
Okay.
and it allows them to be able to have. We have something that's called a single premium immediate annuity. You put money into it one day and you can start taking income the very next day.
Okay.
Right. So there's certain different kinds. You have income annuities. You have deferred annuities. There are just so many different ways that this can work, right? Bonus, like I said, you can get money added to your account, and then depending on which bonus you get is going to be what your account minimums are. Some are $100 a month, some are $10,000, some are $20,000. When I started in 08, I think they were at $50,000. So there's a fluctuation with the different companies of where you would actually. When we find a company that works for you, let's start with that. We find a company that works for you that makes the most sense for you. Then we put that over there. We find the right investments. Fees. Some have zero fees. I told you they're actually changing the product so it can be zero fees. There are others that will still have a 1% fee. They may have some of those income riders on it to be 1.5%. When we sit down and talk about that, just understand that's a 1% fee. And I promise you, 1%, if you tell them you're going to give me a check every year for the rest of my life, I'll easily pay that 1%. Because even if you talk about managed money, going in with $250,000 and talking to a financial advisor, your management fee is probably going to be somewhere about 2.5% in the management fee per year, paid out quarterly. Okay? So, that's what we want to say about fees. And again, I can't say it enough, baby, never lose it. I never lose a penny. Now, I love equities. I still have my money in the stock market. But I want to be able to keep my money safe. All right? Now, this is John. John's retirement story. He makes about $50,000. He lives in Knox, so he only need about $50,000 to live off of. Yeah. All right. But his Social Security check's going to give him $1,500 a month. That's going to be $18,000 a year. His living expenses, we say you're going to need about 75% of your working income in retirement, since you know, kind of slow go, no go, you're not doing as much anymore. Now, that's going to be about $37,500 per year that he needs. He has $200,000 inside his 401k. His retirement age is 65. He's 55, right? So he decides to split this up into two portions: 50% into the fixed index annuity, and another 50% that goes into the stock market. Now, this is an example of him being able to say, at 55, I put in that $100,000, it immediately turned into $120,000. Okay? Now he passed away, they paid that $120,000 to the family. Your 401k put in that. Sorry. Anyway, now he has his income percentage, and we're going to wait until he gets 65 to start taking money out, because we definitely want him to be past 59 and a half, and it's a 10-year contract. If he starts taking his income out here at age 65, 66, then he's going to be able to take out anywhere between $12,000 and $14,000 per year. That's more than $1,000 a month, right? So if full Social Security retirement age for our people is really 66, 67. So if he starts taking that income there, it's about $14,000, a little more than $1,200 that he's going to be able to get to go along with his Social Security. Now, if something were to happen to him and he got sick, hurt, couldn't work, and they told him that, you know, you really need to go somewhere and sit down, you're going to be disabled for a while, you may be in long-term care, they would double that income. So if he were sick, he would end up getting a bigger number of 30. So that's what the enhanced benefit is, and that's only for 5 years. Now, let's go back to his 401k, because we took $100,000 and we said, all right, we're going to have him to grow this money by 7% rate of return, which of course, we can't guarantee a 7% rate of return. We say the average is about 8 to 10 in the S&P 500 anyway over the last 20-year window. So we'll go ahead and put that money in. No withdrawals are coming out, but you see the account balance is growing. It's growing really nice. I think it may cut off a little bit, but the bottom was like $196,000. So let's go up here. Now he's at 66. I'm losing a little bit of my slides, baby.
That's probably because. I can jump.
All right, let's see.
I can work there.
Can you slide? Okay, so that's where I made up that 196 number. I didn't want y'all to think I was a little bit crazy. All right, I'm sure y'all think I am already, but it's okay. Now, see if you can come back down. All right, maybe that's the top of it. So we said we're gonna start with the 196,000, and we're gonna take out what we call the 4% rule. The 4% rule says if you have monies in equity, you are only allowed to take out 4% per year to ensure that you do not run out of money. So even though he has $196,000, he's only able to take 4% of that. 4% of that is going to be $7,869. But then you notice the next year, $7,554. Why? Because that 188 is smaller than 196. So as the account is depleting, then the amount that you're able to get out is okay. But that's okay, because remember, he's not going to need as much in expenses and things like that, you know? So it shows you here kind of the growth of the 401k over time. It grows up to almost $200,000, and then it starts to deplete back down, right? So, as historical play, based on the 4% rule, he's able to take money out of his 401k. That's going to give him $7,800 for that first year. So he has his $1,800 from Social Security. He has his $14,000, which is going to be fixed, set, no matter what. And then he's also going to be able to have the $7,800. That's going to roughly put him at $39,000, at $39,800 in retirement income for his first year. Okay? But if we had to put all of that money inside of just the stock market, you see that it would appreciate. He wouldn't have that guaranteed income. He would still have the fluctuations of the market. And nobody wants to take money out of the stock market when the market is down. So you say you don't take money, because again, markets go through cycles. You have good markets, you have bad markets. Do you want to take money out of your stock market account when the markets are losing money? When your $100 went down to $75, is that when you decide you want to start taking money out? Right. Okay? All right. So, who is a fixed index annuity for? It's for somebody who's looking for some guarantees, some safety, some long-term growth. People who do not want to risk their money in the stock market. People who are looking at an alternative as a way to grow their money for retirement. People who don't have a retirement plan through the job. Right? Who should not? If you need all of your money right now, this is not for you. Right? Because a lot of people want their money back from Social Security and say, shoot, I can use that to pay my bills and do stuff like that. I get that. But, as I always tell you, pay yourself first. The reason why you have money in Social Security is because they took it out of your paycheck before you got your paycheck, right?
Yeah.
The reason why you have money in your 401k and your pension plans is they took that money out of your paycheck before you get it. So that's why I always tell people to pay yourself first, pay yourself often, pay yourself well, baby. Who deserves your money more than you? Okay? So yeah. You definitely want to look at ways that you can consider if this is right for you. Now, we kind of talked about these things. They're too complicated. You talk to somebody who's going to speak your language. Somebody who looks like you, somebody who's going to help you understand the situation and decide if this makes the most sense for you. And what happens to the company if it goes, what happens to all my money if the company goes out of business? They're guaranteed by the state. They are absolutely guaranteed by the state. So the one company will buy out another company. We see it all the time with life insurance. Life insurance and annuity companies are run by the same company. So you'll see Prudential annuities. You'll see Nationwide annuities. The big companies, they'll come in and buy out a smaller company. And you'll see like a company name, if you're familiar with Voya, I remember when they were Reliance Star, then they went to ING, then they went to Voya. Like they change names, you get statements in the mail, open your mail so you know what's going on. You know, we don't like opening our mail. And the high fees, I told you, some of them don't have any fees at all. So the other one is like, oh, you're too young for an annuity. I just proved to you. You got one. It's called Social Security, right? And you don't control it. Somebody else does. Yes.
I just need a little bit of clarity. Regardless of what age you start your FIA, the age is 59 and a half before you can take it out.
Correct. Absolutely. And that is the government rule. Because the fixed index annuities are still considered a retirement account. So even with the lawsuits and different things, again, it's kind of like when you buy your house and they have all those numbers in there. It's all the penalties and stuff are already just kind of put in there. But you can still start to take money out of a fixed index annuity if you were 5 years old. Your grandparents gave you $1 million annuity and said we want you to get a check every year, that 10% money every year. You get that check every year. And they'll just take out all the taxes and everything, and they'll just send a check. It's kind of like, another income tax refund check. Yeah. And the wealthy and the affluent have been doing this forever. They have charitable annuity trusts. They have all types of investments that are saying I can put my money over here, I don't have to go through probate, I don't have to pay taxes on it, and I can be able to grow my net worth and I don't have to lose money in the stock market. I can make money with the stock market. Right?
Then when they pass away, they put it into a trust and it keeps flowing.
Yes. They have the charitable annuities inside the trust. Yes, absolutely. Because that's where the family is able to get paid out. Those
That's right.
payouts go to. Yeah. They need to put it in a place where it's going to create an income stream. And they need it to be guaranteed. It needs to be fixed. Because if not, then you go in for your trust money one year and it's like, okay, well, it's $10,000. You go to the next year and they say it's only $7,000. You ready to fire everybody in the trust? No. That's just a fluctuation of the stock market.
Right.
Now, takeaways, I'm going to kind of get through that. I want to grab me a sip before I go through my, do I have time, Kevin?
Yes.
I feel like I'm talking to them. 7 accounts that I believe every adult should have. Each and every person in here, I believe y'all all should have all 7 of these accounts. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Argue with your mama, not me. Now, when it comes down to it, your checking and savings account. Your checking account is to pay your bills. Your savings account is for your emergencies and any money that you plan on using in the next 13 months. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you are going on a cruise, if you're doing a down payment on your house, that needs to be in your savings account. Right? That does not need to be in any investment account. Money is going to be used in the next 13 months. If you're about to buy a house and you put $10,000 into your savings account and you go to close, you're going to pull $10,000 out. If you put it into the stock market, you go to close, you're going to pull $8,000 out. Do you close? Exactly. 13 months. Roth IRA. When you got your first job, somebody should have pulled you aside and told you to start putting money towards your Roth IRA. That's where I actually went viral, was setting up a Roth IRA for my 16-year-old daughter so she could be able to have a down payment on her house at 21. Because she was working at Kroger's and was attending Austin, and she was able to pull in, maybe call it $200 a month, working part-time. $50 went into that Roth IRA, right? That $50 did not go to Sonic. It did not go to getting nails done. It didn't go to eating out. It didn't go to buying clothes. That was money that was actually preserved, so for a future purpose. So you can take a portion of your money and put it towards the Roth IRA. When you hold the Roth IRA for 5 years, you can take it out for 5 reasons. First time home buying, college education, death, disability, and retirement. In my world, retirement age is 59 and a half. Okay? Now, the other beautiful thing about Roth IRA is when you take that money out, whether it's in a mutual fund, whether it's CD at the bank, whether it's an annuity, it's 100% tax free. Right? So, love the Roth IRA. I have a Roth IRA brokerage account and I have a Roth IRA annuity. My stocks do well in my brokerage account. I take the money and I transfer it to my annuity. Hey, hallelujah. Now, the 401k and the SEP, these are your tax deferred. When you're making too much money, you put money into the 401k. I know you say, I got a job. They offered me a 401k. I'm supposed to take the free money, which is the match. The free match is 5%. What tax bracket are you in? 12 at the minimum. Am I right? So you took 5% free money so you could turn around and have to pay taxes at least 12%? Oh, okay. Okay. So it's very advantageous because, again, the 401k was established for wealthy bankers to truly be able to defer taxes, not have to pay taxes, put it someplace, and then when they got to retirement age, they're supposed to be in a lower tax bracket, so they were going to take the money out. Well, that 40-year experiment failed. Oh, 40-year experiment. DaVett, why did you say that? First 401k was created in 1981. Rap music is older than the 401k. That's why I said your parents and your grandparents, they have a pension. They have no 401k.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was just created. Now, we talked about the annuities and the pensions. I'm sure I've driven that home all day long. $50,000 in permanent life insurance. If you're young, if you're healthy, if you can afford it, please get you $50,000 of permanent life insurance. Because when we think about the way that the cost of eggs and everything went up, it got more expensive. If a funeral costs $12,000 to $15,000 right now, what's it going to look like in another 30 to 40 years? That's just going to pay for the basic funeral.
Mm-hmm.
That's just going to pay for the probate. That's just going to pay for the state. Like, that's just going to pay for the minimum. Right? Everybody wants to get a $500,000 term, a big term policy, assuming that they're going to die early. What if you die later? You want to be able to have something, and you can lock those in right now. My grand twins, they have a whole life policies on themselves. I have them. I bought them on the day that they were born. And I pay $20 a month for each of their policies. $50,000 policies. That's $40 a month that I pay for $100,000 of generational wealth. I never want to collect that money. That is all for my grandchildren's grandchildren. But I can know that they at least have something that is locked in that's theirs. Why? Yeah, you can have a child rider, and then you're on your life insurance policy where you can have your children on it until something happens to your child or happens to you, and then your kids get kicked off the plan. My daughter, she was diagnosed with fibromyalgia at 16 years old. And it's probably going to be very hard with all her medications and narcotics and different things to get her a new life insurance plan. So it was absolutely imperative, and because I work in this industry and I knew that I needed to convert her to a permanent plan. How many of us don't check our mails and we forget it? Matter of fact, we still paying for a term rider on a P-word life insurance policy, and our kid's 40 years old, and they ain't even covered no more. Because they usually kick you off the plan at 26, 22, 26. So we need to go back and do our reviews on that, but I insist that everybody has their own plan. And like I said, my grandkids, it's always going to be $20 a month for their whole life. That is something that they also, you want to be able to lock in the price while you're young and you're healthy, because that is going, KUB going to go up, this ain't. Do you understand? Now, long-term care, HSA, and HSA is so, I talked about long-term care, but the HSA, if you can get it through your job, that is a health savings account. It's one of the best investments that I don't sell, because you get a tax deduction when you put the money in, and then when you take it out in retirement, that money is tax-free. So that is so, especially when you're using it for medical purposes, that is so powerful to be able to say, I can be able to put money in, get a tax deduction now. And mind you, you can only put in probably about $3,000 per year, but you're putting that money in. Most people have the flexible spending account. They have to use up all the money by the end of the year. No, this is the one I wanted to roll over and roll over and roll over. So when you get to long-term care, you can use this to pay for the caregiver. You can use this to pay for long-term care. You can use this in Walgreens for your medication. You can use this for all the different other things. And you know, now it's gotten to the point where you can use on that FSA list, you can go in there and buy tissue paper and stuff like that, that is not, that are all still considered qualified medical expenses. And your brokerage accounts. This is going to be your stock account. This is going to be your Fidelity. This is going to be your mutual funds, your exchange traded funds. This is going to be your crypto. This is going to be all of that play money. That's where the market goes up, the market goes down. You want to be able to capture gains, make some money, and then figure out what you want to do with it. If I'm playing in the stock market real good, and I sell some NVIDIA stocks, NVIDIA stock was doing really well a couple of years ago, took that NVIDIA stock, did you take it over to your bank account so you can use it as down payment on your house, or did you take it over to the annuity like me, because I know that it was going to turn around and drop like it did in September. I was able to capture my gains. Say I didn't let my $100 go down to 50. I just went ahead and said, let me take my money and move it over here. And then y'all can go down to 50, and I'll keep playing with it and put more money into it and come back. See, I can be aggressive over there because I already took my other money and put it somewhere safe. So you see how all of these things work together for our good. And it's because the reason why I use the 7 different accounts, it comes from Ecclesiastes 11:2. Invest in 7, no 8 different investments, because you do not know what disasters will fall upon the land. Right?
Exactly.
All right. So, thank you guys for allowing me to take time to talk with you today. I hope you found value in my